Hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm Piglet here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo / Super Famicom for those who lived in Japan, including the Game Boy Advance remake by the forms of Super Mario Advance 2, but that's besides the point. So anyways, last time we have completely done with the forms of the fourth world by the forms of Twin Bridges, and we've managed to able to beat the likes out of the forms of Ludwig von Koopa. And in addition to that though, we've also managed to only completed one level in Forest Evolution. So, today for this episode, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are about to be hopefully trying to finishing up with the forms of Forest Evolution while able to actually simply go through, like, multitude of levels, in addition with finding all kinds of secret exits, especially noticeable in this world itself. Now, as far as I've said this before, back in at the very end of the conclusion, Let's Play of Rabbids Go Home, is the fact that, as you can see, that right from the get-go, we still got the exact same amount of lives ever since the forms of the last video, in addition to with the forms of the exact same power-up setup by the forms of Cape Mario. In addition with Cape Mario, we still managed to get ourselves Yoshi with us. And something else is a little bit different for you guys, for those of you who haven't seen this part coming, ever since during the likes of after my my Wii U corruption. As you can see, we've now got ourselves a different amount of red stars at the moment right now, and we have actually got ourselves a different amount of coins and different amount of points that we've got for our score count. So that is the reason why it took us about the forms of like only 5 months delay to able to hopefully gonna be coming back into this game itself, because it's been 5 months since actually coming back into this game. Because of that though, we're hopefully trying to finish up this game up until before Christmas time of this year, so we're hoping that will be happening, just like in the forms of how it does it in the forms of in the Let's Play of Super Mario All-Stars during about a year ago. So yeah, you get the idea. Yeah, that's what I can usually say about this, yeah? So, yeah, let's get started right here by the forms of the very first level in this video, and that is the forms of Forest Evolution 2. And as you can see, we're going to be swimming underwater the entire time in this particular level, and just like in Forest Evolution 1, and that could be the same applies for every single levels in Forest Evolution world, well, 2 exceptions, or 3 exceptions mind you, but we'll get to those in any second. So, right off the bat though, the secret exit you can able to find in the forms within Forest Evolution 2 is that you notice this particular wall over there. You think this might be a little bit more of a solid wall, but it turns out you can actually win bypassing it. And then once you do so, you have to grab the key and then take it to the keyhole, and that way it should lead you to the final Switch Palace level by the forms of the Blue Switch Palace. So, and that'll be about it when it comes to like these Switch Palaces in mind. So in this particular Switch Palace is the fact that obviously there are some spinies every once in a while, and as you can tell that we actually got ourselves not only 1 but 2 switches, or in this case 2 P switches. One of them actually activates the forms of blocks into like coins, and then vice versa, and then essentially the blue P switch and stuff. But there's also a white P switch, which actually allows enemies to transform into their silver coins. And then once you're able to grab silver coins, you're able to actually give you plethora of time to able to actually get yourselves a good opportunity to able to add up to your small scores on your points count, in addition with the forms of extra 1-ups here and there as well. Especially noticeable with the forms if you ever grab every single silver coin. So yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory for the most part. So, and there you go folks, and just like before, if you activate the actual, the actual switch, the blue outlines is now being transformed into the actual blue blocks. So, but keep that in mind, when we get to the later portion of the game, in the forms of like one of the special worlds in the game, which we're about to be getting to at some point after finishing World 6, it's pretty much mandatory if you want to able to actually fully conclude it with the forms of the special worlds of the game, because, well, I'll explain more now as soon as we get into those. But for now on, let's get back into the forms, sorry for a little bit of a tangent right there, because again, it's been a long time since I actually now finally returned to this game after the forms of several Let's Plays, including so many forms of like, you know, as I mentioned before, Rabbids Go Home, which was now being entirely finished, and yeah, I'm very glad to be back in this game because, again, it's been about 5 months since I actually touched this game ever since then, and because of that, you know, Nintendo E3 stuff and shenanigans and stuff like that, yeah, Forest Evolution 2 can get pretty laggy every once in a while, especially there's like too much stuff on screen or something like that, but either way though, that's not much of a big of a deal in my opinion because, well, this level can get pretty tricky sometimes, and it can be quite tedious at the same time. And yeah, by the way, we actually come across into the forms of the introduction of the forms of these urchins, with the forms of those sea-looking creatures and stuff like that. So, again, it will able to revisit these particular enemies in the future Mario games, including some spin-off titles here and there as well. So, it's worth pointing out. So yeah, we've done a secret exit before, and now let's get to the right. And this way, it'll lead you to the normal exit as normal. So, yeah, self-explanatory for the most part, though. And I think I've mentioned about this before. Forest Evolution is basically just filled with secret exits worlds. Because of that, well, there's going to be filled with red dots in the several levels worth noting for, like Forest Evolution 1, Forest Evolution 2, and, especially noticeable, Forest Evolution 3. Because when we're able to actually access that level, boom, there you go, the red dotted. So this means there's actually like more than one exit. So yeah, let's get into the forms of Forest Evolution 3. So in this level's gimmick, in fact, as you can see, there are several enemies got trapped inside the bubbles, and then every time you touch the bubble, then the enemies will break free. So, you really don't want to able to actually activate these enemies, especially these bombs, for instance, that I managed to able to accidentally just free them. But, luckily though, Yoshi makes its debut in this level, and things can get a little bit more interesting, especially noticeable with the forms of like, well, using Yoshi will come into play, and it'll become very useful, especially noticeable when it's like, you know, some more hit points and stuff to able to save for. So, yeah, at least expecting so. Sometimes there are occasional ways that the Super Mushrooms were able to join in as well, but the Super Mushrooms were actually inside one of those bubbles. But, either way though, they are, you know, one of those levels that you can able to actually just, you know, gather as many of those mushrooms. But obviously, I don't think there's any, new power-ups, I don't think, where we can able to get through. But other than the fact that, yeah. So, this level once again contains a secret exit, but, in order to actually find a secret exit in this level is the fact that it's actually nearly at the end. Around the same, you know, the ending sequence as the forms of the normal exit, except, well, you notice there's actually a green pipe in here somewhere. Well, not that one, that but the forms of the previous green pipe that we've actually went into, but this green pipe. And then once you enter in, then, well, you would able to come across into this little secret door or the secret, you know, key locker over there. And then, just like before, just, you know, grab the key and then take it to the keyhole. But you don't want to accidentally toss it away on the forms of clipping through the wall, because if it did happen, then you're obviously not going to get out of it. So, you know, once you find a secret exit, which I think is actually mandatory if you want to able to conclude Forest Evolution World, and that way you would able to actually get to Castle number 5, Roy's Castle. So, yeah. Fundamentally, though, that we're almost at the halfway point of the game, actually, and in fact, the matter is, though, is that we are essentially in the halfway point of the game right now, so, especially noticeable, as you can see on my lives count, I've almost, went over 80 extra lives, so, that's pretty cool stuff, kind of thing about it, though, because, again, this game is super generous with extra lives, and that's what the actual, like, new Super Mario Bros. Games seems to nowadays give you plentiful of extra lives, especially noticeable how, you know, most of the levels later on can get pretty unforgiving most of the time, but either way though, this level's very interesting, and getting used to with the forms of these little eye blocks and stuff like that, because you have to use those if you don't want to let these enemies pop out of the bubble, in case if you don't want to get hit several times. So either way though, self-explanatory for this particular level, and of course those annoying charging trucks were still around, but oh Christ, I almost gonna lose Yoshi then. And Obviously, we're going to ignore the green pipe because we've already explored there previously. And we are with Forest of Illusion 3. So yeah, how about that? So a few things I want to explain about this actually is the fact that, actually, before I get into this, however, though, if you take the normal exit in the forms of Forest of Illusion 3, this will lead you back to the forms of, well, the Forest Ghost House. But before we get into the forms of the Ghost House in the forms of Forest of Illusion, I need to replay this level again. Well, not gonna go for the entire level again, because thankfully though, if you manage to able to pause the game and press select, you're able to actually get back into the forms of the world map. So, that's very handy though. Especially noticeable ever since the forms of like some Super Nintendo games these days. Well, some of them at time. Alright, so here we go folks, this is the forms of the next Ghost House level, and I think this might actually be the 4th Ghost House level, because we haven't seen a Ghost House level ever since Vanilla Dawn. And, just like in the forms of how it does it in, you know, in, Donut's Secret House and Donut's Secret House, this level also contains a secret exit. Well, usually one or two exits. 2 exits to be exact, because in Vanilla Ghost House it only has, like, 1 exit. And, well, there's not much else I can say. So, anyways, I could just hopefully try to grab that cape feather from that specific section, but I just have no idea. Anyways, though, we do need to actually need to activate the P-switch before you're able to proceed up to this point over there, because if you actually accidentally enter the door by the forms of the yellow door, you're able to actually go back a little bit, so probably not going to enter that. So anyways, you need to enter the door on the right, because that way you can able to actually get into the forms of the next level that we can able to proceed. In this way, you're able to lead you to the forms of Forest of Illusion 4. So, that's about it, and it's still red dotted, so this means there's going to be 2 exits to find in that level. But that doesn't stop there, because I need to go back to this level for one last time, to able to actually find the secret exit. So, obviously, that we need to go onto the exact same area as before, like at the very end of a level at least. But except, rather than going onto that door over there, well, I think it's actually that door actually, and I think we already actually, I'll discuss more on that as soon as we're able to find it though. So either way, let's just go ahead and fly about and you know, just get to the door and, you know, you get the idea. So today was actually, you know, the 30th of November, and I was actually pretty excited for today, because today, Indrina likes the video forms of the Cinema UK, that Ralph Breaks the Internet has actually managed to finally get its release on the forms of today's today, in the forms of the 30th of November. And I might not get to see it in day 1 though. On the other hand though, I might actually go ahead and see it until the forms of this weekend in summer. Or no, not summer, in Sunday I should say. Anyways though, I'll get some more details onto that as soon as I'm able to get my final thoughts of the film. So, but I'm not going to spoil anything about it. So yeah, as you can see, I've found a secret exit in the forms of, you know, Forest Ghost House, and as you can see, not only do we get ourselves a secret exit, but it also gives me a 3-up moons. So, that's pretty cool stuff. But, on the other hand though, the secret exit is kind of worthless, because it just takes you back to the forms of Forest of Illusion 1. So, yeah, pretty much a worthless secret exit in my opinion in this game. So, yeah, it just takes me back, so... Because it almost feels like a maze, but honestly, it's nothing that much more of a maze to me in my opinion. But either way, let's go ahead and move along to the forms of Forest of Illusion 4. And in this level, once again, it retains not 1, but 2 different exits. In this way, we actually introduce into ourselves the fishing Lakitus, where basically you're able to get ourselves a fishing rod, and as you can tell, I've instantly grabbed the 1-up mushroom. So, and while that's been happening, that if you manage to obtain the forms of the 1-up mushroom, then sometimes the Lakitu will once again try to able to toss the spiny shell right at you. Just like in the forms of how it does in the forms of the, you know, in Super Mario Bros. Game, and especially noticeable with Super Mario Bros. 3 as well. Anyways though, the secret exit is actually on this blue pipe, where you can either just get your bigger jump momentum right there, or you can able to actually just obtain the forms of the actual Lakitu cloud to be able to actually ride on it. And in that way, once you find a blue pipe, then, you know, nab the key and try to drag it or taking it to the forms of the actual keyhole. that way it will able to lead you to the forms of the forest secret area. And the forest secret area is actually the only level in the Forest of Illusion to able to have the yellow dotted, because, well, aside from by the forms of the next fortress, and especially with Roy's Castle, one of those levels do seem to have like one exit, so self-explanatory for the most part though, so it's not that too complicated to me though, so either way. So yeah, as far as I'm seeing Ralph Breaks the Internet, again, as I said before, I'm going to be seeing it on this weekend, on Sunday, because I got a few things to do with, by the forms of the actual preparation, of the forms of the celebration of Christmas during the next month, which I really cannot believe we only got about 25 days to go. And also, the preparation by the forms of the celebration for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, to able to think about the video plans before you know, the actual release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which, you know, still looking forward to that though. Alright, so I only got like, how much lives did I got? I think I've already got 4, so that's alright. But I've almost reached over 91 ups, so yeah, that's pretty cool stuff. And obviously the normal exit will take you back to the forms of Forest of Illusion 2, but that's fine, because now we're going to be moving on to Forest Secret Area. Which again is the only level that only has like, well, at least is... I really can't speak for this point today, folks. I really do apologize because, well, again, it's been about 5 months since I actually coming back to this game since the 4th of June, so I really cannot believe that has been shocking. And plus, as a result, because we have to deal with the forms of the Mega Man Marathon selection of Let's Plays, well, at least before when the forms of Mega Man 11 came around, but that's to say, you know, a completely different story. So anyways though, Forest Secret Area, it might be pretty tricky at first, just because as you can see, the actual background, you know, the screen background is actually keep on scrolling, while at the same time, well, the main gimmick of this level, as you can see, is the fact that we need to able to ride onto these forms of these donut lifts. Well, I would say the forms of flying blocks, platforms, and then, you have to go from one platform to another if you want to proceed, and, basically, that's all you have to do. See, Fernando, that's a very simple, self-explanatory, but it can be pretty tricky sometimes because the screen scrolling will able to mess your eyes a little bit, but that's fine because we have essentially accomplished with the actual main level, so how about that? And this way it leads you to the forms of the next fortress level, which, you know, we haven't done any fortress levels ever since in Vanilla Fortress, so it's one pointing out right away. And here we are, back outside once again. Well, at least in terms of for now anyway, because we need to head back into the... wait, sorry, speak today for this point, folks. Because we're about to be hitting inside the forms of the Forest of Illusion for a little bit after we're able to accomplish with this level first. So, anyways though, we got ourselves the forms of these little wooden stump-looking obstacles right there, ever since in, you know, Iki's castle. But except, now we actually introduce into ourselves these little saw blades, which, either way, it can get pretty dangerous and stuff like that. No! Ah, shoot. Ah, I've lost my cape feather power-up. But yeah, this is what the actual switch powers blocks will come into play, especially how it makes it so much more easier with this level, because, well, you can just essentially try and make this a little bit more of a guidance or something like that. But anyway, and that way, once you avoid that, enter the door, and this is where it gets pretty hectic and pretty dangerous at the same time. Not only do we get ourselves plotter boost, but also a whole bunch of saw blades, which... I will admit though, it's actually pretty tricky though, especially in this section here, and shoot, I messed it up. But that's fine, because I get a mushroom back. And in addition to getting a mushroom back, as soon as I'm able to dodge as many of those dangerous obstacles as much as I can, I would able to actually just go ahead. Whoa! Jeez Louise, oh Christ. Ah. Anyway though, if you manage to able to get to this block, then we get ourselves a cape feather back, so that's pretty cool to know. So, there's actually two different methods you can able to actually get to the very end of the level. You can either take the normal route by simply going to that red door down there, but I'm gonna go for a riskiest method to able to just get a little bit of your momentum right there and fly your momentum with the Cape Feather, and this is actually required to able to actually get to this point here. So what's inside of these blocks exactly? Well, it's basically a jackpot section because it's gonna be filled with 1-up mushrooms. So if you're having a hard time with the game so far, and this is a perfect spot for you, especially noticeable if you really want to max up your lives count, then yeah, by all means, just grab them all. So yeah, let's go ahead and enter this door right here and fight once again the Resnors, which just like before, we need to take down all 4 of these Resnors within the separate platforms, and then once you do so, in fact, I'm almost gonna get screwed over right there, and that's about it. Look at that, my time, by the forms of 102 seconds of my time on the screen. Well, not in my actual recording session, mind you, but either way though, that's all there is to know. In this way, it'll lead you to the forms of the next Star Road section, which again, I'm probably not going to do that just yet after completing, World 6, so, but I digress. Before we get into the final main level in the forms within Forest of Illusion, I need to replay that level twice, because I need to get myself my spare Cape Feather in case of the emergency sake, just like before, and I'll exit out as soon as I manage to press my select button, and that way we can able to prepare the final main level in Forest of Illusion, Roy's Castle, Castle number 5. So that means we've now finally exited out by the forms of the Forest of Illusion world. So it's not that difficult or not that complicated to me though, other than the fact that if you have a first time playing for this game, be sure to able to just keep on searching for secret exits, because sometimes normal exits can lead you to the forms like an endless circle, but either way though, it's not too bad honestly. So for Castle number 5, Roy's Castle, basically the main gimmick of this level, as you can see, we're going to be having a real fun ride with the forms of the snake block. And then, shoot, stupid little flying fireballs. Oh yeah, these things are back ever since, Lemmy Cooper boss fight, which I can assume that's what that is. So, anyways, let's grab that dinosaur coin, even though it might be kind of worth it, especially if you ever played the Game Boy Advance version of the game, if you really want to try to 100% through everything, unless you have to deal with the screen crunch, but I digress. Alright, jump off here, and watch out for these little, these little different colored spikes on top of the actual ceiling? As soon as they start to wobble a little bit, you can able to actually just go ahead and just try to wait until whenever it falls down or not. Oh, come on, really? Oh, jeez. Ugh. Okay. The good thing, the Cape Feather still exists anyway, so there's not much else you can tell. And once you deal with all that, enter this red door, and we'll have a one-on-one fight against with Roy Cooper. And this boss fight might be very similar to how it does in Modern Cooper Jr., except, well, nothing really much changed about this guy though, other than the fact that it's basically the exact same fight as of how it does it on Modern Cooper Jr., so well, at least Ludwig von Cooper is pretty much identical to it, except, well, pretty open-ended and stuff like that. So, there we go. We have essentially accomplished everything in Forest of Illusion. Looks like Mario's getting confused. He just got exploded right there. Mario finds his way through the Forest of Illusion and has put an end to Roy Cooper of Castle number 5, onward to the dangerous but tasty Chocolate Island. Fascinating. But I'm afraid, guys, we got the endings off at this point right here by the forms of the actual recording session and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll see you guys during tomorrow. So join me next time on Let's Play Super Mario World for the Super Nintendo. Is that we're about to be approaching onto the forms of the 6th world of the game, Chocolate Island. And I'll promise you guys, I would able to finish this game off before Christmas is about to be on its horizon. So see you guys then.